Good evening. Welcome to the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Well, another day in the saga of election fraud and voter fraud, all kinds of things that are going on. Former Mayor Giuliani is now, I believe he's still in Arizona. Actually, I don't know, maybe he's in Michigan now because I heard something recently. He was doing some things in Michigan. I think it was either Michigan, Arizona, Arizona, Michigan, whatever. Anyway, he's somewhere out there and he's addressing these issues. But today I wanted to go and take a look back at 2016. Because in 2016, in Harrisburg, Virginia, there was a case. And this goes out to all the mainstream media people who seem to think that, oh, the polls are perfect. The election are perfect. There's no problem with these results or anything else. Okay, the Democrat Party has been linked to a student committing voter fraud. This was back in August of 2016, and it was determined the student was directed by the Democratic Party to register fake voters to boost their voter registration numbers. The James Madison student, his job was to register as many voters as possible. Eventually, someone at the registrar's office called the police when they noticed one of the registered voters was no longer alive. In case you don't know what that means they were dead. And that same year, President Trump was up for election. It's the same year, a few months before the actual election. And once again, in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, that man was paid. He was paid by the Democrats in Virginia prior to the 2016 presidential election, and now it's determined he will spend 100 to 120 days at that time in prison for his crimes against the voter registration system, or registrars, or the election process there in Harrisburg, Virginia, because he was submitting the names of deceased individuals to registrars. And let me tell you, the James Madison student was paid by the Democrat Party to do their dirty work. Andrew Spielis, I believe his name was, he was 21 at the time. Harrisburg pled guilty to the United States District Court, Western District, as part of a plea agreement. Spielis agreed to prison sentence of 100 to 120 days. Then listen to this. Now, this is what I want you to see. This is what fraud is all about. People, I want to tell you out there, if you listen to me, listen to me. Criminal activity, they're not going to come up and say, hey, we're doing crooked things. We're being criminals. They're not going to come out and say, oh yeah, we told this guy to lie and we threatened him if he didn't say this, that we were going to either get him when he was in prison or either we would pay him a little more money. Because they were paying him anyway, paying him a little more money just to say this. Because you're only going to spend 100, 120 days in jail. So Spielis later admitted that he prepared the false voter registration forms by obtaining the names of address individuals from walk sheets provided to him by the Virginia Democrat Party. But he also later said, he said, see, I don't know. This confuses me. It gets on my nerves because people are acting like there are no criminals in this world and people who don't do illegal things. And unfortunately, the mainstream media is one of the top ones on that list. They're telling lies and doing illegal things. He also said later he acted alone, that no one else participated in the crime. And this, of course, was investigated by Comey's FBI department. A corrupt FBI leadership was behind this investigation into this crime. Is there any reason why you think it didn't go that bad? The young man said, well, whatever. We have no actually any proof that he even spent any time in jail. He probably got a pat on the wrist and got released. But I don't believe he was telling the truth at the end. I believe they got to him, and he possibly was threatened with other things. And as I said, Comey was the head of the FBI at that time. And this is Virginia. I don't know if you're familiar with Virginia, Maryland, and D.C. They're all right in there with each other. And you're not going to tell me that the main FBI office was not involved with this situation. This lie that was perpetrated by the MSM, that all, it was in mainstream media, that all is well with all the witnesses that are calling them liars. They're calling everyone that put out an affidavit for Rudy Giuliani to bring before the legislatures and the senates of these different swing states. They're calling them liars. So what are they doing, people? They're calling the American citizens liars. These people were not bought by President Trump. They were not bought by anybody in his cabinet. They were not requested to come in. They came in when they found out that somebody had the guts to investigate this garbage. Yet we know that there are real liars, and they are the fake news. The fake news are the real liars. Well, we have, I'm not going to call them a guest, but we're here at the studio of the MCPLive.tv with its executive producer, Bill Brenzer. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you, David. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have you on, and thank you, Bill, for how you have done a lot for us here at the Black Conservative Voice, lending us your studio and time here to do our different programs and such. So we do appreciate that. The first thing we're going to discuss today, Bill, as we go through these issues that are going on with irregularities and fraud, dealing with election fraud, you know, I don't know, these lies, it's just driving me crazy. But the main thing is what President Trump was saying and what they're telling them. The fact that they're able to shift millions of votes at the click of a mouse to some other party.
Well, I can tell you, David, as an IT professional, the fact that they have found out that some of these voting machines from Dominion were connected to the internet during the voting process is enough to scare me right there.
Yes.
Because we've seen that these hackers can get into almost anything. And so one of the things in Montgomery County, Texas, where I am, for example, is we don't have these things hooked up to the internet on a regular basis. It's just too easy for somebody to get in there and change votes.
Yes. And President Trump at the beginning had said they had changed like 1.8 million votes. Now, everything like the mainstream media, as I said before, they're covering up everything. Any lie they could cover up. Former Vice President Biden should not even been in the race. They should have arrested him on treason along with his son and his brother before this election even began, because it was already proven that he had, as they say, colluded. He had already done a quid pro quo with the Ukraine. All these things that they tried to impeach President Trump on, he had already done. It was clear evidence, evidence. What we have right now, Bill, and I had talked about this on my program before, even as early as yesterday, the fact that these, to me, he says, I'm a pastor. I talk about biblical stuff. This is stuff of biblical proportion. They're calling the truth a lie, and they're calling a lie a truth.
It's really very interesting. And of course, as you were alluding to way back in 2016, the FBI has turned a blind eye to this in the past, and they're still doing it. And the problem is that President Trump, he'd have to fire like everybody who works for the FBI and the Department of Justice in Washington.
Do it.
I'm in favor of that. You know, the FBI has all these field offices all over the United States. So why didn't he just take all these FBI people that are in Washington and send them out to Miami and Omaha and all these other places? And those people out there are pretty good FBI people too. Bring them in, and I'm sure that would go a long way toward solving the problem.
Yes, you most definitely are correct. And the thing that it's irritating me, and even in these days of time, and I spoke directly to A.G. Barr on my program last night, and I was telling him, say, hey, guy, look, you said there's no fraud. To me, they got to him. I don't know what they did to him. I don't know how they got to him, but they got to A.G. Barr. I don't know who's in charge of keeping him in place.
Well, don't forget. don't forget, he's been in Washington for years and years, and
Yeah.
how anybody can think that somebody can be in Washington for 30 years and not be
Part of the swamp.
yeah. I mean, because if you were there that long and you didn't want to be part of the swamp, you'd be gone.
That's correct. Yeah, and I also mentioned I alluded to this on my program last night that they're crooked people in all the parties. There are people in all the parties doing things that are not correct. A lot of people under President Trump, I think they were angry at Trump because they weren't able to get all this lobbyist money and all these things that they normally get, these under-table finances that they get from these different lobbying groups to vote a certain way or whatever. This system really is broken. The Congress, the Senate, I'm not sure how broken they are, but a lot of the senators, especially in Congress, is broken. There's a lot of things that are going on that is not beneficial to the people of this country. The reason why I love Donald J. Trump so much is not because he was a perfect man or he said the perfect things. It's because he represented the people because he behaved as a people. If you see your brother or somebody else next door, your house, in your neighborhood, if you talk to them, a lot of them probably will talk just like Donald Trump. But if you talk to these politicians, you got all this, I'm better than you and all these things like that. And they really are not for the American people.
Well, people say we have the best Congress that money can buy. And, I think there's some truth to that. Because,
yeah, that's true.
These congressmen, they get up there and you ask them about these bills, and, well, I haven't actually read the bill yet and everything. Well, that's because all the lobbyists are out there writing the bill and putting all the stuff they want into it, and they just give it to the congressman and say, "Here's your bill. It's all ready to go. Don't worry. If you get booted out of office, we'll find a job for you on a couple of the boards and stuff, and we'll take care of you." And you know that for a fact because you look at people that come to Congress penniless, and after 20 years they leave and they're multimillionaires. And with the cost of living in Washington, you can't do that on a congressman's salary.
You got that right. So I don't know. It's like we could sit here and talk all day about the different things that are going on because there's so much corruption. There's so many things to talk about. But the thing that irritates me the most, this former Vice President Biden who ran for president, who has not been certified as the president-elect. Of course, the mainstream media is just pushing out there left and right, but the electorate is not in, the votes are not in. A lot of states have not certified the votes, so why are we calling him president-elect? He did not win by a landslide, even if he did win. So why are we going this way? We shouldn't be doing that. So let's move on. We see, and I know you probably heard this, a lot of us have heard this before, about these absentee ballots, these mail-in ballots coming in after midnight. I call this the bewitching hour. All of a sudden, you're at a poll, and they've had some witnesses to this. Some people actually filmed it. Of course, the mainstream media is saying, oh, there's no fraud. They're coming to the polls after midnight, 3 o'clock in the morning, with boxes and boxes of ballots that are not even packaged correctly, in the wrong types of boxes, just rushed into the and then people in the place, there's some who have came out and testified that when they saw the ballots, there was nobody else checked on the ballots except Joe Biden. Hundreds of thousands of ballots just to Joe Biden.
You can look at these results statistically, and it just doesn't pass the smell test when you do that. I mean, you're sitting there and everything's going along, and and it's nip and tuck, the two people running for office, and then all of a sudden at 1:30 in the morning, one person just jumps ahead, and that just doesn't happen. And the reason they stopped voting, I think, in several of these locations was they were not prepared for the number of people that voted for President Trump. And they didn't have enough fake ballots prepared in the system to win, because they didn't want to win that big because they knew that it would look shady. But all of a sudden, they're sitting there and they're going, wow, we had 100,000 fake ballots and we need 400,000 fake ballots. So,
Yeah.
we got to stop counting while we run out and rent a Xerox machine and start, printing off ballots.
Oh wow, that's great. Because there was a lady who testified. She said she looked at the ballot. She said it's like someone was Xerox.
Well, it's very interesting. The circle around the first key indicator was that Biden was the only one that was that was voted for in the ballot,
Yeah.
which almost never happens. And then they looked at it, and the circle around Biden was a perfect circle, and all of them, the ink was the exact same color. So if that isn't a Xerox copy, I don't know what it is, because you go into those places and I'll tell you what, I couldn't make 100 perfect circles in a row if my life depended on it.
Stamp.
And most people cannot. Maybe that's it. Maybe they had a rubber stamp.
They had a rubber stamp. That's what I mean. Come on, there's no way you could stamp that many ballots. You'd have to do it pretty fast. So you had to have a stamper. You put it in, stamp it, stamp it, stamp it. And along with the mail-in ballots that supposedly came in late, the numbers. The numbers just do not work out.
No.
I don't know if anybody's been watching this, but I see President Trump has 73 million some of these votes, and Joe Biden is supposed to have 74 million. This is when it first came out. They tried to say he won. This is what happened. Then I look back a few days later, and Joe Biden all of a sudden has 80 million votes.
I've got a question to ask you as a black conservative American.
Yes.
Can you honestly believe that Joe Biden got more electoral or got more popular votes than Barack Obama?
No.
Does that make
There's
any
no
sense
way.
at all? No.
The man, come on. In order for him to get popular votes, he had to have rallies at least as big as President Trump when he went out. When he went out, 7 or 8 people showed up for his thing. 9 people. He didn't even do most of his campaigning in the last days. Barack Obama was out on the trail doing his campaigning. I guess the people thought they were voting for Barack Obama again, which is more than likely the truth, because Joe Biden picked everybody from his cabinet. Supposedly, Joe Biden-elect, President-elect, picked everybody he could from former President Obama's cabinet. Now, along with these mail-in ballots that popped up all of a sudden we have absentee ballots that popped up. Now, we know there was a problem in Georgia, and Governor Kemp, I don't know if he was scared, if he just figured, well, this is just too messed up for me to even get involved in. He refused to do anything, and I don't know if he's done anything yet or not, but I believe that somebody else in that state has come forward to do something else to move this thing forward. But we need to verify the signatures and all these things. And I know you know about this, Bill. In Michigan, they had, what did it say was, 1.8 million absentee ballots sent out, and 2.7 million come back.
Boy, I want to know what system that is. I'm going to send $10,000 out and get $14,000 back.
I love that. But this balloting things, all these crooked things. But what I want to know, and you have some thoughts on this, I'm pretty sure. But why is the media so afraid of Donald J. Trump and touting that Biden is the president-elect before all the final results are in? But I do know one thing. I know that in psychology they tell you if you repeat something 3 times, people will start believing it. What I'm telling you right now, there's no such thing as a president-elect Joe Biden. He's not the president-elect. He has not been certified by all the states. And that ain't come to later, maybe next week, that's even going to happen in the electoral votes even after that. So how can he be even considered president-elect?
Well, the mainstream media is, in fact, the propaganda arm of the Democratic Party.
Amen to that.
And one of the reasons that we started MCPLive.tv here in Montgomery County, Texas, is that we feel like there are a lot of conservative Republican voices, even in Texas,
yes,
that it's hard for them to get their message out. And we don't have a TV station or a major radio station here in Montgomery County, so it is our objective to put out the conservative message here in Texas, to counteract the mainstream media. So what I suggest to everybody is turn off the regular stuff, start watching your show on Roku, and watching Onan and Newsmax, and just turn the rest of the stuff off, because it's just propaganda, and they feel like if they say it long enough, as you said, people will believe it. And if they say, nothing to see here, just move along, everybody will believe what they want to. They all want to go back to Walter Cronkite. Oh, just listen to what Walter Cronkite had to say, because he wouldn't lie to you, would he? Well, apparently he did.
Yes. It's like, I don't know, we'll talk about this later, Bill, but maybe we can give you a little larger voice, maybe in your program, especially. I know we got you have your program here also on mcptv.net
mcplive.tv.
Yeah, boy, I'm gonna get it right eventually. mcplive.tv. We have some space, I believe, on our station to add programming. So maybe I can talk with the program, the CEO, and see if we can get this program, mcplive.tv, your program, placed on our channel, because we do a program out of Dallas as well here in Texas. And the majority of our viewers, we have a lot of viewers for Black Conservative Voice right here in Texas. The majority of my viewers, 41% of my viewership is here in Texas. And I know I have people here in this area here in Montgomery County. I wanted to just talk a little bit about this thing that happened recently. It's a project, I don't know if you're familiar with it, it's called the Homicide Project. And they uncovered recently hundreds of thousands of ballots affected by election fraud in 5 states, including Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. We talked about this a little bit last night on my program, but several whistleblowers and subcontractors of the United States Postal Service also alleged that they faced problems working with the USPS. One man from Wisconsin claimed he saw only one ballot go on November 2nd and none on election day. On November 4th, the local USPS chapter declared there were at least 100,000 missing ballots.
Well, I don't want to get myself in trouble with the USPS, but the simple fact of the matter is that President Trump was in the midst of trying to shape that organization up.
Yeah.
That organization has been losing money, and what they are doing for the American people has become less and less important to them as the years go along. And so he's trying to do something with that organization to make it more relevant, and maybe break it off and let them go stand on their own and fight with FedEx and UPS and stuff. And so if they have a few disgruntled people over there that want him out of business, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah. Now, this guy here, the one I was just talking about, and the Amistad Project, they uncovered this. This guy was a subcontractor. He was moving stuff for the people. Then one day they took his trailer. He was like, "Where's my trailer at?" They unloaded his trailer without him even knowing it at their second location. And then it says that the Republican lawmakers throughout the country are hearing Trump's campaign case for widespread voter fraud. Now, I don't even like that term, voter fraud. I don't know, maybe we come up with a different term, because it's not the voters' fault. They're going out to vote. They're doing whatever they do. As far as fraud goes, it's fraud in the casting of ballots. I would call it, and to me, I call it ballot fraud, because that's really what it is. The voters are not at fault. They go out to vote, and they expect their vote to be counted. The fact that ballots are being created by dead people, one place they said that, I don't know how many people, 12,000 dead people voted, and they also requested absentee ballots.
Well, let's not forget that the people that orchestrated this all come basically from the Chicago area.
Oh,
and
God,
the Chicago area
there.
is just well known.
Criminal activity.
It's an art form in Chicago.
Yes.
They figured out how to do it, and
yeah. Mm. Well, let's just, I like to talk about this election fraud more, but I'm going to, actually, let me look at this real quick here. We have a little statement here, and this is from, I read this on last night's program, but it's from Representative Mo Brooks from Alabama. He is talking about he is going to challenge the Electoral College on January 6th, regardless of whether anybody comes along with him or not. He wants to challenge those votes, and I don't blame him. I wish I could come along with him to challenge it. So what do you feel about the Electoral College? What's going on with that?
Well, I think that if they can convince the Supreme Court that there was enough voter fraud in enough different states that it would that we cannot use that as a basis of electing the president, there is a constitutionally mandated alternative. And the term that you're going to hear from the lawyers is remedy. Yeah. Okay, so if there is a problem, what's the remedy? Well, one remedy could be we could do it all over again and have another election. Well, that's not going to work because nobody wants to wait that long. Yeah. And it would cost a fortune, and we could just have the same problem again. So the next remedy is what the Constitution calls for, and that is to have it, have the election of the president remanded to the Congress, to the House of Representatives, except that each state only gets one vote. So each state's representatives will caucus together and decide who to vote for. And in that case, based on the numbers and based on the fact that I assume at that point Republicans can hang together and hang tough, Donald J. Trump will be reelected President of the United States.
Yes. Well, let's hope something happens. But the one thing I'm sure of, Bill, and I'm sure you're sure of it too, God will make it all work out somehow, whether they like it or not. Now, we're going to cover one last thing, and then we're going to go ahead and close out tonight. But on Wednesday, there's been talk about a new stimulus program, and I'm just, I don't know. There's talking about helping out small businesses and different other things. But it seems to me, this irritates me because I see it too many times. It seems like the American people are being left out. People who've had small businesses like myself and others who have smaller businesses. Businesses don't necessarily have a bunch of employees, just we are self-employed. And then a lot of these pandemic shutdowns or everything else closed a lot of us down. You know, I was making a good little bit of money before all this happened, but then when they did the close down or shutdown, it pretty much murdered my business. My business was killed back in March, and I've been struggling ever since. We have one stimulus that helped me to catch up a little bit, but then I'm still earning much less than I was earning before. And also, give people out there you want to know, you can also sponsor this program, and we can have our commercial breaks. It's a good place to advertise for businesses and whatever. But they supposedly got together on another stimulus package with Steve Mnuchin. Now, and particularly, something got started with a guy by the name of Senator Sherrod Brown, who accused the administration of sabotaging the economy as president's first term nears an end, which is garbage. But then Mnuchin fired back and said, my decision not to extend these facilities was not an economic decision, he stated. I'm surprised to hear Senator Brown use words like sabotage. No legitimate justification, delusional malpractice. Time for Mnuchin reiterated that he's within his rights to withdraw the money from the Fed control. What Mnuchin is trying to do, well, I'm telling the American people, what Mnuchin was trying to do is take that $500 billion that was just sitting in the coffer, and he wants to use it to help the American people. Now, I'm hoping and praying, regardless of whether Biden gets in there or whatever, I'm hoping and praying that we can keep this America First going on. But you know, and we know this clearly, Bill, that Joe Biden and the Democrat Party are against America First.
Well, the simple, easy way to do this is not to more deficit spending and send out more checks to people for money that the government doesn't actually have. Yeah. The easy way to do this is open the economy back up. Let everybody go back to work. Let everybody go back to what they were doing. Yeah. Get these music venues and these bars and these restaurants and movie theaters all opened up again, and have everybody go earn a living. I know that the Democrats would love to have everybody be dependent on a government check so that they can control us, but the answer is open the economy back up.
Yeah, I understand that. But as a small business owner, very small business owner, to me, they hurt me so much, they got me in such of a hole that I'm having to climb out of the hole that they put me in because of these shutdowns. So I'm older and getting ready to go. I'm going to have to go early retirement because of this, because I worked 4 years to start a business. This right here you see right now is a business within itself. But we need sponsors and things like that to move forward. But I'm saying it just destroyed my business. It was in no fault of mine at all as a person in the city or in the country. I'm hurt and I'm upset because if they hadn't done what they did, I could have kept working. But I can't. Not only have they stopped me from working, like you say, by shutting down the economy, they've kept me from working by keeping the section that I earned income from shut down. Because of me and a lot of people like me, I don't know how many are like me, but I'm sure there are probably many more like me that have certain health conditions that cannot do physical work. There are a lot of physical jobs out there, but I'm a person who uses my brain. That's why I'm here right now on the Black Conservative Voice. I'm using my brain. It's the only thing I have left. They've taken everything else away from me. So I'm using my brain to do the work that I do and using my viewpoint to get our point as conservatives and Republicans across to this country. And hopefully, yes, we open the economy fully, cut the foolishness out so that we can go ahead and live our lives and just move forward. No, I don't want handouts. I want to be able to earn the money that I need to earn. And like you said, I can't earn it if the economy is shut down. The organization that I deal with mainly will involve senior citizens. So they are blocking everything from senior citizens. I can't even go into the communities where I used to go in anymore because they blocked out anybody from going into senior communities. So my business has been destroyed and it's like it's just out there. So in closing, we're going to go ahead and close right now. Do you have any final remarks, Bill, you'd like to offer?
I'd just like to thank you very much for having me on your show.
Well, I appreciate all you've done for the Black Conservative Voice. You've been there for us, and I'm sure you'll be there again. We got some things coming up in the near future, and I'm hoping you can help me out with. Well, once again, I want to thank you all for joining us here on the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert. And today, Bill Brenza of MCP Live.tv in Montgomery County. I said it right that time, right?
Yep.
And so, once again, I want to say what I like to always say to you before I end my program. God bless you, God bless America, and God bless the world. Until next time, this is David Colbert at the CTM News Network, the Voice of Truth, saying good night and God bless.